I'm back in the garden. My son and my husband have been mowing it a bit. It's probably a little early, but I think it'll cope. It's tough, hard meadow grass. I've done some weeding of the flower bed today, over there in the distance. And I'm also working on clearing the vegetables. I was actually really proud of myself because I'd given up, as I've said before, on sort of learning how to harvest and sort of let things go rotten in the bed really, but I found this. It looks, I hope I'm right, puts in focus there, it's a parsnip. And I also found lots of potatoes and onions, so actually I didn't do as badly as I thought. So yes, we're really going to achieve it this year. Lots of beetroot as well. I think I did fairly well with that, but I'll have to see when I dig it up what sort of condition it's in. So we did make a bit of progress. There's a big learning curve, I think, in growing veg. And here, I've set these up today. I've cleared what was a big pile of just compost here, and I've put them into these crates that are left over from the building. My idea now is to sort of cover them in weed membrane and or cover the ground here rather in weed membrane and get the gravel down before it starts growing weeds again. And a couple of weeks and I'm going to spray all that with weed killer, membrane it, and also put the gravel down. I've got to get rid of that pile of earth in the middle that's been growing weeds all over the top of it, but that'll come in useful because I want to put a couple more beds in, sort of circular beds that I can use some leftover bricks for there, and then the gravel all around, and hopefully this area will look a little more intended this year. We'll have some veg that grows, some herbs and sweet peas that I intend to put in the beds up there. And it's actually the stuff that we've been chucking down there has created some really good compost, so I would suggest we put grass in there and perhaps use that on some of the beds when they're dug over. Over here in the trees, right at the back, we put the grass when we run out of space over here, and that sort of disappears in the trees there, so that's quite good. I'll walk you over to the flower bed because I've had a good clear of that, and I'm trying to keep on top of it with hoeing. And this here, which I'm also going to have to dig out, can you see that sort of wooden strip down there running along there? I was growing sweet peas in there for a couple of years, and they did really, really well because they get full sunshine here. But from next door, all this starts growing through and it actually gets really difficult to do. I didn't bother last year and it was quite disappointing, so I have got sweet pea seedlings, but I intend to do in one of the brick circular beds here, I intend to do a teepee, and I'll see what I do with that little sort of flower bed that runs along there, whether it's worth putting anything in there or just taking it out. So here, as you can see, I've sort of done quite a lot of weeding and it's looking a lot better. I have to stay on top of it because at the moment some of the plants from last year are so small and I'm not entirely sure what they are. There's bits of grass that keep coming through too that I keep on having to pull out. To dig that up again. I've got myself one of those cutting lawn things. I forget what they're called, so the edge looks a bit neater. I haven't done it all yet, but we're getting there. Those are carnations, and I'm going to have to trim them back because they've been in a couple of years and they're actually getting quite wild. That's the rose bush that I put in before, so that's beginning to sprout quite nicely. We've got some daffodils, I've decided they are, coming up here, so they'll come out soon. This is goldenrod and I need to move it further back because it's way too big for the front of the bed. So I think I'm going to put it over there, if you can see where I'm pointing. This here, I cannot remember what it was. It looks quite tall though, so I'm going to have to find out what it was and give it some thought. Can't remember what was in there. That's the other rose bush, which is sprouting nicely. Got more carnation. I'm really going to have to... This, I think, is something that was planted last year. I can't remember what it was, and I think there was something here too, but I think I must have dug that out thinking it was weed because it didn't look particularly like anything. That there I think is red hot pokers at the back, And that is that snowball tree, which is just beginning to shoot, if you can see that on there. As I said before, this isn't the main trunk that was originally. That's that lying on the floor there. So I'm hoping it doesn't affect how it grows. If anyone knows, please let me know. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that it sort of doesn't get the blooms or anything. I know plants can be quite pernickety in how they grow. I don't quite know what that was either. It may have been a hollyhock. And this is a cherry tree, and as you can see, it's, better not get too close, that's beginning to shoot too. I think that should blossom. Should be a pink blossom that's coming out on there, which will be absolutely lovely to see. It's also got little shoots coming up at the bottom, which I think were possibly roots, because I did move it a bit further forward when they planted an extra row of hedge in behind. So don't know, might have to just cut those off and hope it doesn't damage the tree. And I can't remember what these bits are. If anyone knows again and recognises this around the daffodils, tell me. I think that was some small plants that I put in, but it might be weeds, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm trying to see. There's quite a bit of it though, and I'm not sure I put that much of anything in. I have to see. The rest of it, I think I've worked out what was plants last year and what wasn't. I think there's some pansies. I don't know if pansies spread. There seem to be more of them. I think this here might be pansy. That at the back is a ceanothus, and that looks really pretty. In our old house we had a large ceanothus at the end of the garden. Is it ceanothus or ceanosus? I'm not sure. I may have got that entirely wrong in its pronunciation, let me know. And it was absolutely beautiful with the blue flowers, and it hummed because they had beehives next door. They all sort of went for this blue flower, and the end of the garden just like buzzed with all the bees that were on it. It was rather lovely. So maybe I don't know if anyone around here keeps bees, but perhaps we'll have lots of bees on that, which is always lovely in the garden, isn't it? So there we go, it's coming along now. Getting excited with all the seedlings I've got planted indoors. They're all beginning to sprout. I'm sort of thinking about where they can go in the garden. I'm determined that this will be absolutely beautiful this year, and I'll have lots of cut flowers to come into the house. So there we go, there's an update.